Hello, welcome to the Lair. This is Craig, and you are watching Role-Playing Riddles and Random Encounters. Today we're going to talk about something that a lot of people really care about, and that is familiars, pets, and animal companions in Dungeons & Dragons. If you're a ranger or a wizard, this is something you really care about, and unfortunately this is an aspect of the game which is really fun and really cool, and DMs don't really focus in on it enough. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is that a player sometimes puts some time into trying to figure out if they're familiar, if they're a wizard or a sorcerer or a spellcaster. Or if you're a ranger, you might really focus on, instead of trying to make a sword or a bow or an arrow or something, they focus on that animal companion, whether it's a bear, a raccoon, a squirrel, whatever it is. And these, of course, if they're familiars, they're magical. If they're animal companions, well, they're just, it's something fun for them to have around. And it's something that helps them in the role-playing, or even if they're a mechanic, it can help them do things like go fetch something on the adventure, or help, find a key. If there's a key up on a ledge and no one can get up there, or whatever it is. They're really handy, and it makes players feel good about their characters. So I want DMs out there to focus on that, and if you're a player watching this episode, don't give up on that stuff. The thing I'm going to talk about today is the major concerns about having animals and things. Over the years, I didn't focus on it enough, or like with first edition D&D, because I've been DMing and playing since the 80s. I didn't really focus in on that stuff enough. And I didn't consider the time and effort people put into their familiars or animals. So when a fireball would hit, I would say, oh, okay, and you need to save for your animal familiar. And a lot of the times, depending on the what edition of Dungeons & Dragons you're playing, or if it's another Pathfinder, whatever you're playing, and how the DM handles things, sometimes they get the same saving throw as the player, or they get a separate saving throw depending. And the problem is, even if an animal makes its saving throw, they generally have far fewer hit points than the character, and your familiar, your pet wolf, your war dog, your eagle, whatever it is, if it happens to be in the blast radius of a fireball or a spell, they get fried. And then of course, sometimes that has negative effects actually on the character if it's a familiar, or if it's a paladin's warhorse, or whatever the situation is, and it has ill effects, and they might have to do a quest, or they have to go through a bunch of baloney to try to get their animals back, and it becomes a big hassle. It's not as bad as being energy drained in the old days, where people would want to pitch their characters in the garbage if they lost their levels, but it still sucks. So, DMs. Number one rule with familiars, pets, or animal companions: do not kill them. There may be a situation where they do die, but it's best if you try to keep them alive. A lot of characters are big pet fans, they're animal lovers, and they think that's super fun to bring in their game, and if you kill that, it's almost like killing one of their kids or something, even in the game for role-playing, because people get invested with their characters and their stuff. And they consider an animal companion a lot of times the same as a +3 sword. It's like if that gets killed, it's almost like you broke their weapon or broke their magic sword. So if something happens and a tribe of orcs is sneaking through the woods, well, it's just like animals, if you believe in ghosts and stuff in real life, where animals go crazy because they can sense the out of the ordinary. If you believe in that sort of thing, it's like that in D&D too, where they could smell something, they could sense something, and your wolf, your animal, might look at, it might be a warning too. They look at the character, and if they can communicate, like if it's a druid, and they speak to them, or if it's a ranger and it gives them a sign, or if it's a familiar and they telepathically connect and say, I'm out of here, something's coming, that's a great warning too. Especially if the players, you don't want them to be surprised, or you want to give them a shot at getting out of it. But don't make their animals have saving throws unless it's necessary. I mean, if someone has a war dog and it's got 40 hit points, and the character's 12th level, and he's a fighter, and it's his trained pet because he put all the specializations in it, and he wants to bring that animal into combat, and it could get killed, okay, that's on him. But most of the time, I mean, one of the players in our group, he's had animals off and on, and usually he has that animal boogie when he's had, in past adventures, if he has a pet, a wolf or dog or something. And that's what you need to do. You need to go out of your way to make them part of the adventure. And that brings me to the next thing. Make the animal matter. If it's an eagle, fantastic. Maybe the group can't fly and they need to do reconnaissance, and the familiar, the hawk for the wizard, can send up and he can see through its eyes. Fantastic. You can use that as a DM, so it's a more fun game session, and it's about, remember, it's about the journey. I've said this in past episodes. It's not about killing stuff. It's about having fun, discovering, and being, the wow factor and the awe factor, and the, oh, that's cool, and this is what I do, and this is what happens, that kind of thing. That's awesome. So, make the animals matter. They could help with the tracking. They could help sense things. They could be part of the alarm. I mean, what's nice is if the group's up and there might be a surprise situation, the animal can actually be one more possible alert, one more possible out for the group for, a check or a saving throw or whatever, to notice something or discover something. That's awesome in a group. You should be totally loving that as a DM. It's not an annoyance. It's almost like a really cool NPC for you that's not really obvious. So treat it that way. Next thing is game sessions about the animal. Maybe the animal was part of maybe it was a dire wolf for a ranger or a druid or something, and it was injured, and one of the adventures is about a pack of dire wolves that would have killed the group, but you took care of it, you nursed it back to health, and it kind of travels with your group, and it's almost like it's not a pet, but it's a companion for one of the characters or the whole group. And then when the dire wolves are going to attack, or let's say they serve a giant, and the dire wolf kind of convinces the other dire wolves to leave, and that's something that the group couldn't have taken out. They couldn't have taken out a pack of 20 dire wolves, but it leads them off, and you go from there. So that would be cool. So that's an example of, a game session about the animal or about the companion or the pet. And sometimes animals know best. There could be a situation where the group's going to go into a cave or a dungeon or something, but they're going to the wrong entrance. It's the one with the dragon, and the wolf's like, or whatever the animal is. Could be a weasel. Could be whatever their extra sensory power is as a familiar or whatever it is, or a set of cunning, and it waves off the group and gives them a warning, like, no, because usually the people in the group, when they see that, they'll be like, oh crap, the DM's giving us a heads up. As long as they pay attention to the animal and don't make it obvious. I mean, unless they can talk or something, but it could walk up and start whining or whatever it is. And then the group can say, oh no, shoot, we need to not go in this entrance. There's something bad in there. Let's try to find another entrance. So, sometimes the animals know best. Sometimes there's ghosts, like the supernatural thing I said in real life, where there's plenty of people I know who believe in ghosts and the supernatural. And when pets go haywire or something goes off, people take notice, especially when things act weird. Well, you can do that in gaming too. And if any of you are unfamiliar with this sort of stuff, check out one of the greatest D&D fantasy movies ever made. I think it's like 1982 with Mark Singer from V. It's called The Beastmaster. Fantastic movie for any of you gamers out there who don't know it. It's up there with Conan, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. It's early, but it's really good. And it's about, basically, in D&D terms, a ranger who has a hawk, a mountain lion, and two weasels as animal companions that he can communicate with, just like a ranger or a druid. He's kind of like a druid ranger. But a great movie. Really good sword and sorcery, really well done. And some famous people are in it too, surprisingly. But anyway, check that out, and it's that'd be kind of like a cool basis for you to check out how a player could be with their animal companions or pets or familiars. So that's the episode for today, and thank you for checking out the show. And please follow me. That would be great. To have you guys click to follow my my show and also to like it. So I hope you enjoyed the show today. Signing off from the lair, this is Craig.